place that's been captured by the Dutch, the French, and the English is no stranger to holding people captive. Newfoundland and Labrador.
It's magical. That's the only word I have for this place. It does something to everybody.
I fell in love with Newfoundland, I think. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's very rustic. It helps you definitely wind down. I'm loving it.
The latest count is 12 of our guests have bought property based on a stay with us. I think they're discovering there is a quality of life here not to be had anywhere in the world. Trinity magic.
Back there is our theater. Trinity is the small town that you find yourself in now with one of the safest and best harbors in all of the land. We do a big outdoor historical pageant as well, where we tell the story of our place. And every kind of story imaginable. There would be 200 or 300 people following Taverner and Matey around, and it's fabulous. You just watch them all come around the corner, and they come along, and they lead themselves all the way over here. They sit on the banks and on the rocks and on the grass. And then we tell about the early fishing days when there was thousands and thousands and thousands of fish. So then when you get to the church, you see the sad side of what can come from living on the ocean and from the ocean. And there's a terrible disaster and a lot of people die out in a sealing disaster. And certainly in Newfoundland, life on the ocean was not only hard work, but it was dangerous work.
They're very much in awe when you get something as big as this. They're in awe of just the size of the iceberg. To find us in Trinity, you can find us on the internet at atlanticadventures.com.
We really have an incredible sense of who we are and where we come from. And I think that's something that everybody in the world wants to share. Everybody in the world wants to belong. And that you have in Newfoundland at the edge of the ocean. That you have when you come here.
In a world oddly bent on conformity, there's something strangely encouraging about a place that's anything but. Newfoundland and Labrador.
was all thrilled because she didn't think she was going to see any
Yeah,
icebergs.
no.
Because,
I was working yesterday while Miss here was going on a towboat.
and I was teasing her because I go, oh, I saw the iceberg, and I purchased a nice painting of iceberg, and I go, it's so similar to what I've seen. And she goes, you little bugger, I better see an iceberg before I leave. And so that's why we're excited.
Yeah.
Excited for her.
They don't really realize the amount of colors that are in the iceberg, and each time you move around, the architecture of the iceberg changes. It not actually changes, but as you go around, there are different sculptures that have been carved out by the waves and the wind. And they're very much in awe. When you get something as big as this, they're in awe of just the size of the iceberg. Find us in Trinity. You can find us on the internet at atlanticadventures.com.
The iceberg is always majestic, and even we are working and living here, and I cannot get enough of icebergs. I mean, you're always taking pictures because you always think that's going to be the best picture.
And the first time I saw one, my jaw just dropped because I heard about them and I have never seen them, and I thought they were just majestic and beautiful. I really liked the bluish color that was coming out of them.
I was really astounded to think that huge chunk of ice was from Greenland. It drifted down here along with many others, and it's 15,000 years old. It's water that's that old, and I couldn't also believe how much of it must be underwater when so much of it is superstructure.
Well, we have iceberg ice on hand for our guests all the time. Half my freezer is full of iceberg ice. If you would like to have your drink with iceberg ice, you shall have your drink with iceberg ice.
One of these gigantic icebergs came right into the harbor entrance back here and grounded itself. It was sitting there, and this happens the first year that we are putting the iceberg beer on the market.
Iceberg right ahead!
Generally, icebergs will come down in May, June, and if we're lucky, July as well. So by the end of July, we're pretty much down to icebergs, but usually we have 3 solid months of having on icebergs as they come in very close to shore.
It's a piece of the past, a 10,000-year-old piece of anything that you can get up and touch, and in this case, chew on and throw it in your drink is truly something unique and special. And the fact that they come so close to shore is what makes this part of the world truly unique.
It is tough stuff, and people love to have it, seeing that it's like a 10 to 15,000 years old. They like to put this ice in with their very special drinks, be it Newfoundland iceberg vodka or a good scotch. It might be 20 years old. So it's compatible with just about any drink that you would like. It's special. It's from Newfoundland.
Well, like you say, if you want to go a little more extreme, you take the backcountry permit up into the long-range traverse. Now, first thing they do is they give you a test, around 30 questions. You fail the test, you got to hire a guide. If you pass your test, first thing they do then is they'll give you a transmitter. It's not a GPS, it's a transmitter. It's useless to you, but they know exactly where you are at any given time. Now, the park is going to take that and they'll track you like a dog. There is no trails, there's no campsites, there's no nothing. You get a map, a compass, and a good luck. That's it. You're on your own. Basically, that's as extreme as you're going to get. You're not even allowed to light a campfire. For God's sakes, don't get wet on the first day. You're in trouble. That is nasty.
All right, guy. Well done. Cool.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Just came down from Grossmorn Mountain. It took the 4 days. And what's really incredible is my 11-year-old nephew, Liam Gorrell here. He led the whole group across the track. Pretty awesome fella.
The group behind us said, oh, the boat operator said, I don't think he's going to make it. They're going to be back on the dock. And when Liam heard that, he said, oh, no, I'm doing it.
You know, it reinforces that you really can do anything. It's just breathtaking. It's just very spiritual. It's just fabulous being out there. It really is. It's one, you just get, you know, there's no gadgets. There's no, you know, iPod, no TV, no PS3. There's none of that. It's just really nice. It's very nice.
That's what I'd like to do. That's what you get to say on the first day after you climb to the top. So that in itself is... You need some type of pants, either rain pants or something to keep the bugs off. In case it's cold, because it can get pretty cold, you need type of fleece or something like that. Extra socks. I'm not going to show you my underwear. A lot of our stuff in the bottom will be our garbage because everything we take in, we take out. We don't leave anything on the campsite. It's very well maintained and it's just, it's been painfully wonderful.
How's everybody doing? We're out at Harpoon Island, right off Harpoon Lighthouse Inn. We're out looking for some icebergs and whales. Icebergs aren't that hard to find. We were spotted about 40 off the helipad there yesterday. And there are humpbacks circling all around us. We had them up right next to us yesterday, the tails hanging right over our heads. So we're just trying to do a little more of that today. I've had people in their mid-80s out kayaking with me around the icebergs and the whales, right down to kids. You know, it's not boot camp, you're not out to prove yourself, you're just out to have a bit of fun. Our motto is enough exercise in a day so you appreciate supper and sleep well, but not so much you regret it the next day.
We came to go whale watching and kayaking and stay at the lighthouse.
It was excellent, just an outstanding adventure.
It's a wonderful place to visit. We've got the longest whale season and the longest iceberg season in Newfoundland. The whales, we get so many whales because we're right at the tip of the Strait of Belle Isle. So if you can picture fish in the Gulf of St. Lawrence or the North Atlantic wanting to change where they are, they've got to come through that little narrow strip of water. And that narrow strip of water, we're right at the end of that. So the whales always have to go past our doorstep. In the summer we're kayaking, in the winter we do a lot of backcountry skiing.
It was a big adventure, the adventure of a lifetime. It was terrific.
Throughout this land, for thousands of years, it's been said that everything has a spirit. Not surprisingly, it's where you might find your own. Newfoundland and Labrador.
We're standing at the Tablelands, one of the most significant geological features in Gros Morne. It's a protected site, and it's easily accessible, so it's one of the few places on the planet where you can actually drive up to the parking lot, get out of your car, and step onto the Earth's mantle. If you think of the Earth in layers, it has a very thin, delicate skin on the outside called a crust, anywhere from 5 to 75 kilometers thick, and then you go down beneath the crust, you end up in the Earth's mantle. And 500 million years ago, huge sections of the Earth's mantle were pushed up during a plate tectonic collision, and they were heaved up from underneath the ocean. Over the last 250 million years, a lot of the top material has eroded away until we're left with this tablelands exposed today. Well, here's a piece of peridotite. When it comes up to the surface, it changes into this reddish brownish color rock, and it's because of the iron content in the rock. When the iron is exposed to the air at the surface, it rusts away. So the tablelands is slowly rusting away. Scientists today have a better understanding of volcanic activity and tsunamis and earthquakes because of a lot of the early work that was done right here in Gros Morne National Park. So you can smell the rocks, you can lick the rocks, you can listen to the rocks, but you can't take the rocks. I just found some white rock that's, I don't know what it is. What is that? I have no idea. We wouldn't even show it. Yes. We don't know what it is. Who knows what it is, right? You end up finding This landscape has been heavily glaciated over the millennia, and glacial material have been scraped and scoured and deposited all over this landscape. So every now and then you come up with a piece of rock that's totally bizarre and out of context. And what is it? I don't exactly know. But I'm sure we have somebody here who works for Parks Canada that knows what this is. The landscape here in Gros Morne is not typical of the landscape that you would find around our province. People come here because they want to have a unique experience with the land. You'd think this was a desert. You'd think this belongs somewhere in the southern US, but it's got nothing to do with the desert. And it's an amazing, cool, interesting geological story.
So we're headed over to Norstead now, which is another historical place over here. Then we're going for a Viking dinner tonight. Maybe have to be adventurous in our eating as well.
My name is Lambie and I'm a Skald and I'm 1,029 years old. I take care of the Snorri, the ship. We have 10 tons of ballast. This decking would be closed. This is the only open area on the ship. This is my lay right here. We need a chisel, 3 nails, and everything else is junk from the shoreline and a little bit of hemp for rope. Up here, we have axe throwing. This is where people who come and visit us, I tell them if you've had a problem, come in here. This is where you finish it.
I like to experience the local people and talk to the people about what's happening in their area and find out the history of the area as well.
I am actually married to the town drunk. That's what happened when you drink too much mead in the middle of the night. You tend to wake up married.
Here at Norstead, you get hands-on actually how they portray the way of life. It's just absolutely phenomenal.
I think it's great. I think it's something that you can't read in a book or watch in a movie. You got to experience it. You got to come down and see it. It's just amazing.
Finding yourself out here on the very edge of the continent. Waking up to the first sunrise in North America. It's hard to believe that most people still wake up to an alarm clock. Newfoundland and Labrador. The people from the Flat Earth Society believe that this place is one of the 4 corners of the world. The very edge of the Earth. Well, that's just foolishness. Isn't it? Newfoundland and Labrador.
These are snow crab spring rolls with Newfoundland snow crab inside. And then the little dipping sauce is bake apples, which are a Newfoundland berry. They taste, they're orange, they look like a raspberry, but the flavor is almost apricot-y and floral. And so it's a bake apple mignonette, which is sort of the traditional oyster sauce. So we put rice, vinegar, and chilies, that kind of thing. And these are the ubiquitous cod tongues. They are fried nice and crispy. We've paired them with a salad, which is a little unusual for Newfoundland. And then that comes with an aioli for dipping, so that's a garlicky, mayonnaise sauce. They're crispy and delicious. Jig's dinner is a traditional meal, and so what we've done here is we've taken all the elements of a Jig's dinner and put it in a cabbage leaf and steamed it to make it sort of a little bit more upscale presentation than a big old mess of food.
It's gourmet Jig's dinner.
Exactly.
I've never seen that
So
before.
all the flavors are there. And this is the soup. Now that is made with Kitty Vitty honey brown beer. Kitty Vitty is a local brewery, and it's actually brewed with real honey. This is made with fresh mushrooms and dried mushrooms, and it's partially pureed with a touch of cream and then finished with truffle oil.
That is a seafood pad thai, which is a mixture of cod, salmon, and cold water shrimp, with the medley of vegetables on the side and of course the puff pastry on the top. This is our bacalao dish of the day, which is of course the salt cod pan-seared with the tomato, caper, olive, Mediterranean sauce on the top, with the basmati rice underneath. Now here we have the lobster. The lobster with the Lady of the Woods birch sap wine buttercream sauce. We have roasted potatoes and grilled vegetables on the side. This is the vegetarian gnocchi. We've garnished it with a bit of Parmesan cheese and pine nuts. There's also some nice sun-dried tomatoes and a medley of vegetables in there as well. So this is the salmon, by the way. It has the gin and juniper berry sauce and the roast potatoes underneath with the grilled veg on the side. So this one here is partridge berry, blueberry, and mango crumble with a bit of Newfoundland scald cream on the top. It's made by a local company called Glenview's. And then we've topped it, of course, with just a touch of mint. The one in the center is kind of our signature dessert for us. We call it the Republic Mousse. And basically it's a mousse in 3 tiers. The bottom layer is a green apple layer made with Rodriguez apple schnapps. Then we move on to a white chocolate layer, and finally with the partridge berry layer. And when we stack them, it does look like the Republican flag of Newfoundland and Labrador. And then we have a bit of whipped cream and a homemade partridge berry coulis on the top. And this is possibly my favorite dessert ever. It's called La Bête Noire, which means the Black Beast. And basically it's a flourless chocolate cake that Andrea so wonderfully makes. And this time she's made it with a bit of iceberg vodka and mint flavors.
So this is the Nautica. It's a relatively new product. It's a blueberry Shiraz. And what's really interesting about it is generally berry wines tend to be very, on the sweet side. And the wonderful thing about this one is that mixed with the Shiraz, it tempers the sweetness of the blueberries in a beautiful way, but also it brings some of the fruit back to Shiraz, because Shiraz can sometimes be so hot and peppery that a little of the fruit falls out. So I was really surprised by how wonderful this one is. And these are some of the Rodriguez products. They have a full line of everything from apple schnapps to brandies that they do to all these fruit wines. This one is a bake apple wine. These are local berries to Newfoundland. The other one is a raspberry wine. This is another one that we do by the glass. And that one's a touch sweeter. That's really lovely with chocolate dessert. You can imagine chocolate raspberry is a really great combination. And that's again about the same sort of sweetness. And this is a really interesting one. This is the Lady of the Woods, which is produced by the same people for another company, but it's actually made from the sap of birch trees, which is really surprising. It sounds awful, but it's wonderful. It's drier than the other ones. It's maybe about a 1 and a bit or so on the sweetness code. And the flavor profile is like Asian pears and oranges. And so we've used this one in cooking. It can be served, on its own as a dessert accompaniment or even as an aperitif. I mean, it's no sweeter than, say, a Dubonnet or something like that. But we reduce it in the sauce for lobster. And it's a beautiful accompaniment to sweet shellfish like lobster and crab. So, over the lips, over the gums, look out belly, here she comes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
In Newfoundland, we have a wonderful culture that if you come here, you have an experience. You experience life in the past, what's going on today. So They're coming here for, it's like a living history. This is the St. Mary's Anglican Church, and of course the Lobster Festival has been going on here for about 28 years. And it was done, the dinners were done by the community, and about 18 years ago they passed it over to the local church women.
This is the only lobster festival in Newfoundland. They're all over PEI and they're all over Nova Scotia, but I think this is it.
It's like a family kitchen. Everything is freshly made, the salads are done on site.
You'll see about 8 ladies in the kitchen, and there'll be another 20 baking bread and doing the jams and everything in their homes. You know?
This is done by the ladies. That's tea, that's buns, we call them in Newfoundland. You might call them biscuits, but we call them buns. And the molasses buns, and local people call them lassie buns. Tell him what happened, Adrian, on Friday. The first time ever he got bitten by a lobster.
What happened? I got bitten. I wasn't paying attention, and this one here, he kind of nipped me like that.
He'll chop 700 lobsters over the weekend. 3 days.
Good heavens.
The lobsters are caught by the local fishermen here in Cow Head.
The roe is the red stuff.
And it's actually the egg, isn't it?
It's
the female lobster that. Yeah. See that? Did you see that?
And the
a
green
lot of
stuff
people don't
is
eat it, but
lovely
actually
on
it's
that
very
homemade
good.
bread.
Do you think you could ever OD on lobster?
I hope not, because this is my third meal this weekend.
We've had people from Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and they just say they've tasted lobsters nowhere like it in the rest of the world.
Here we are in beautiful Cape Royal Harbour on the Irish Loop. And what we have here is, again, something special to Newfoundland. It's the iceberg vodka. And we thought that we might share a little bit of the iceberg, and we're going to make a little martini here now. And it's from the very skilled hands here and we'll just put a little bit of the good stuff in here, and the piece is breaking off because of so much pressure. That's why you respect them so much. You get the people. There we go. There we are. And of course, now, in true Newfoundland style, what you would do is you throw away the top, but however, seeing that we have people here from away, and the ice just came just from a lovely, what we call a bergy bit. There are 2 out here. There's 2 fine icebergs out here in the harbour, and that was a chunk that just came off one. So, and then we chopped it off of it, and now we're shaking it to get it nice and cold. This is Newfoundland vodka and beautiful Newfoundland ice. Iceberg ice that came, that's probably anywhere from 12, and we'll need some of that right in our glass. Why? This is 12 to 20,000 years old. And so here's what we do. To all our friends who are visiting, well, here's to your health and here's to all. Bless you. Yes, now, that ice is good, and it sounds good, and it tastes pretty good too.
Newfoundlanders, help us now. Johnny. You want to get a
a picture of the harmonica accordion player with his only fan? You're going to see, well, you'll hear the accordions, like I said, in fiddles, but you might see an instrument you've never seen. And that instrument is called the ugly stick. It is a homemade percussion instrument. You usually see it in the corner of a kitchen. If you can't play anything else, you can pick up the ugly stick and keep beat. That's what it's all about. So Mr. Jones, like lots of Newfoundlanders, made his own ugly stick. We'd like to have it as an accredited course in university. In the program at Memorial University, the music program, we would like to see ugly stick 101. So the first thing we got to try to do is start her up.
Fourth time here.
Wow.
It's an excellent party.
And he said it was good, and it is good. It's fun. People are awesome. I'm just blown away by the hospitality and the comfort. The band tonight said that for us to feel at home, and that's exactly how my wife and I feel.
You know, when I was a kid, wherever we went by pedal bike. Just imagine pedaling your bike every day, going to Carpoon to Lancer Meadows. We've been all over the place here. We went in every nook and cranny and climbed across the roof and hung on the beam. You know what young fellas are like. When this is here, you come and explore. My character is Ragnar, and my role is a blacksmith. Talk about where the Vikings got their iron and smelt it down and turn it into nails. The Vikings. Yeah, I think they're still here.
There's winter. And then there's winter. Newfoundland and Labrador.